Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Eastern Kentucky prepares to say a final goodbye to a man who spent a large part of his life representing a community he truly loved. And the people of Jefferson County continue to show their support for Louisville police officer Nicholas Wilt as his family receives positive news about his condition.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is now at 5:34 on April 26th. Now let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Brandon,
Wednesday
how's it
morning.
going?
Yep.
It is quite a Wednesday morning. We're halfway through the week though, so that's always positive.
You know, there's that old TV commercial, you know, the camel walks to the office. What day is it? Hump day?
Hump day. Yes. Happy hump day, everyone.
Exactly. All right, let's get into the forecast this morning here, and you'll see we're fairly quiet. Not too much going on here across our region, at least for now. We could have some spotty rain chances later today, but I-75 at Corbin down that way, 37, a little chilly in some spots this morning, but most spots there in the upper 30s and low to mid 40s. Jackson, the warm spot at 47. We see 33 in Manchester, 32 in Jonesville and Grundy, 31 in Clintwood, but a lot of mid to upper 30s, which is outside of frost territory. So even though there is a little bit of a frost advisory left over for some folks, most folks not seeing that this morning. There may be some patchy frost, so give yourself an extra couple minutes. We're going to warm up today. Going to head about 70 degrees this afternoon. Mix of partly to mostly cloudy skies. We'll track some rain for you coming up here in just a few minutes. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Brandon. An Eastern Kentucky community is continuing to mourn the loss of a former longtime Eastern Kentucky state representative. WYMT's RJ Johnson talked with a friend and colleague about Hubert Collins' impact both in and out of office.
For more than 2 decades, Hubert Collins served as the 97th District Representative. Originally from the Whittinsville community of Johnson County, Collins loved the community and Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Well, he was just very passionate about what he did. I said he lived and breathed being a state representative. He was everywhere. He was at every function, everything going on. You could always count on Hubert to be in any kind of public function. He was there.
Even though he was not in office anymore, Bobby McCool says he was still there whenever he needed any guidance.
But he was still there as a resource. If anybody wanted anything, if you need any, he was always there. One thing about Hubie, you could always call him anytime. He would always get back to you. And he always made his number public, so he's very open.
McCool says Collins put everything he could into his job, leaving behind a strong legacy.
What you want to know about Hubie, he was just a really good man, good man. And it's a sad day in Johnson County and in the entire state because losing such a good man and he brought such enthusiasm and heart to the job he did. So we'll miss him. We certainly will miss him.
With love pouring in from the community, McCool says Collins will never be forgotten. In Johnson County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Visitation for Hubert Collins continues at 9 o'clock this morning, and his funeral is scheduled to follow at 1 p.m. at Jones Preston's funeral home in Paintsville. A community in Jefferson County came together last night to continue praying for Louisville officer Nicholas Wilt. He was shot in the head in the Old National Bank shooting in Louisville. Yesterday, his family announced that he is currently in a medically induced coma, but his condition continues to improve. Several Jeffersontown and LMPD officers discussed the bravery Officer Wilt showed rushing towards the gunfire. The Jeffersontown mayor says she is friends with his family.
People go on with their lives every day, and they're busy, and they go to ball games, and they go to everything. But you know what? That family's still sitting down at that hospital day in and day out, waiting to hear what's going to happen next. And so that's why I think it's so important that we keep this man's name alive in our community.
The Louisville Metro Police Foundation is still raising money for Wilt's recovery. So far, it's raised more than $150,000. Natural Bridge State Resort Park in Powell County remains closed as forest officials work to find out what caused a wildfire. Officials with the Kentucky Division of Forestry suspect arson was the cause of the fire. It burned 125 acres and it took about 100 firefighters 1 week to put it out.
We had defined areas where our crews could come off the top of the mountain and maybe a break in the cliff line where they could establish their control lines and be able to hold the fire.
It's not clear when the state park could reopen. It will be up to park officials to determine when the trails will reopen and if any repairs are needed before visitors return. Natural disasters have ravaged Kentucky during the last year and a half, from tornadoes to floods. But during those efforts, state leaders learned Kentucky is the only state in the South that does not have a state-organized search and rescue team. The governor held a bill signing ceremony yesterday for a bill that changes that. It sets up a search and rescue office within the state emergency management agency. The office will be able to coordinate search and rescue resources from fire departments stationed all across the state. The goal is to get search and rescue teams on the ground faster.
We can take that response to another level. With this organization, with the type of cooperation between different groups across Kentucky, we can be there for one another.
Search and rescue teams from across the country helped search for people following the Mayfield tornado and the flooding in eastern Kentucky. Kentucky crews also saved lives, but they say it took longer to coordinate their response. The Kentucky Lantern is reporting on a recent change in state law that will require Kentuckians to purchase a hunting and fishing license even if the activity is on your own property, if it's less than 5 acres. Senate Bill 241 had the main purpose of creating more conservation easements across the state. Governor Andy Beshear vetoed it, but the legislature overrode him. Rick Zimmer, president of the Kentucky League of Sportsmen, said he wishes sportsmen and women had more say on such matters. Grammy Award-winning singer and Kentucky native Carly Pearce is set to perform at this year's Kentucky Derby. Pearce will sing the national anthem before the race around 5 p.m. She's known for her hit songs What He Didn't Do and I Hope You're Happy Now. Pearce was born and raised in Taylor Mill, Kentucky, and singer-songwriter Rachel Platten will be performing the national anthem for Kentucky Oats 149, as well as a live performance of her hit Fight Song during the Survivors Parade honoring cancer survivors. Just ahead this morning, Ed Sheeran heads to court as he tries to battle a lawsuit accusing him of copying a popular song.
And we're starting the day off a touch warmer, but unfortunately those clouds will continue to roll in ahead of some rain chances later tonight and tomorrow. We'll have the latest in about 3 minutes.